Happy Sunday, everyone. I hope that you are rising up filled with gratitude, grace, and of course, thanksgiving. I hope that you are setting yourself in order and aligning what your purpose is. I wanted to stop in for a moment and talk about trauma. A lot of people have experienced, including myself, experienced some form of trauma in their life at any given point. And it doesn't matter what the type of trauma was, it's just knowing that you had that traumatic experience. And in understanding having that traumatic experience, you have to know that when you are triggered today, it really has nothing to do with the today incident, but the residue or the unresolved concerns of that past trauma. If you can give yourself the permission to deal with that past trauma, your today will be better. It will help to reduce that anxiety and that depression that you may be experiencing. It will help you to develop healthier coping skills, build up your esteem, build up your empowerment, and understand that that traumatic event years ago doesn't need to be in your present. If you give yourself that permission, and yes, I know that it's going to hurt to recall what those original incidents of trauma are. But when you do that, you really do give yourself the permission to begin that healing process for you. Nothing about your past trauma should impact your today life, not to the point where it's disabling, not to the point where it brings on dysfunction. Yes, you're going to have some recall because you're going to remember as a defense system to not allow that kind of thing to happen again that's in your control. But it should not be such a level of recall where you're constantly angry, where you're constantly on guard and fearful and in a defensive position. If it does, that means that the person that activated that trauma in your life way back when is still very much in control of your right now life. I want to encourage you to, all therapists aren't the same. And I'm not talking about just because we're all licensed and things of that nature. There are some therapists that are specifically trained for trauma, that are trauma specialists, that go over and above to work with those that have been impacted by trauma. Work with an individual that is trained to help you. Let me help clear the air. Psychiatrists really do see you after the initial consultation or appointment and getting your diagnosis. They're going to see you for 15 minutes to make sure your medication is okay. It's cool to have them, but I can tell you that if you work through your trauma from its origin, you will more than likely not have to have as much medication. Don't be afraid to confront that trauma. Don't be afraid to free yourself from that trauma. Don't be afraid to actually reshape your now because you controlled that trauma. I'm wishing you the absolute best on this journey. You don't have to go at it by yourself. But if you can get a hold of that original trauma and control its impact on your now, you might not be so angry. You might be a little bit more free. Take good care. Enjoy your Sunday.